3 days after my brother Daniel died in Saudi Arabia, he called me. My name is Michael Reyes. I live in San Antonio, Texas. My older brother Daniel worked overseas for 6 years. He was an OFW construction worker in Riyadh. Daniel was strong. He was brave, and he never scared easily. But before he died, he sent me a voice message. I still remember that night. It was 2:14 a.m. My phone vibrated. A new voice message from Daniel. His voice was shaking. Mike, something is wrong here. The workers in the old building, they are not people. The message ended with a strange sound. A long, hollow breathing sound. Then silence. I called him back. No answer. The next day we got the news. Daniel was dead. The company said it was an accident at the construction site. But something about that message did not feel right. 3 days later, his body arrived in Texas. The coffin was sealed. The company said the body was damaged. My mother cried all night. The funeral was held at a small church near Mission Road. Everyone came. Family, friends, old neighbors. But something strange happened during the funeral. The priest stopped speaking. His face turned pale. He stared at Daniel's coffin. Did anyone hear that? We all looked at him. Hear what? He slowly pointed to the coffin. Something moved inside. The room became silent. Terrifying silence. No one moved. Then thud. Something hit the inside of the coffin. My mother screamed. People stepped back. The priest whispered, "That is impossible." 2 men slowly walked toward the coffin. Another sound came. Scratching. Like fingernails dragging across wood. I felt my heart beating fast. My mind was screaming one thing. Daniel is dead. So what is inside that coffin? Suddenly the scratching stopped. Complete silence. The priest forced himself to continue the prayer. But everyone in that room knew something was wrong. Very wrong. That night after the funeral, I received another call. From Daniel's phone. Slow breathing filled the speaker. Then a whisper. "Mike, don't open the coffin." The call ended. My blood turned cold. Because the coffin was going to be opened the next morning. The next morning, the sky over San Antonio looked gray and heavy. Like a storm was coming. Our family gathered again at the funeral home on Broadway Street. The funeral director looked nervous. "We need to confirm the identity before burial." My mother refused. "No, the coffin stays closed." But the company insisted. They said it was required. 2 workers brought tools. The metal locks on the coffin clicked open. Everyone stepped back. The room felt colder. Terrifying cold. The lid slowly lifted. The smell hit us first. Rotting. Wet. Something that smelled wrong. The workers froze. One of them whispered, "Where is the body?" The coffin was empty. Completely empty. My mother fainted. People started shouting. "How is that possible?" The funeral director looked terrified. The coffin was sealed when it arrived. I stepped closer. Inside the coffin, there were deep scratches. From the inside. Like someone had tried to escape. My hands started shaking. Then I noticed something else. Mud. Dark, wet mud at the bottom of the coffin. Like soil from a grave. But Daniel had never been buried. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The room went dark. Wind slammed the windows. Then we heard it. Footsteps. Slow footsteps. Coming from the hallway. Thump. 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 Someone was walking toward the room. The door slowly creaked open. A tall man stood in the darkness. His clothes were torn. His body covered in dirt. My heart stopped. It was Daniel. But something was wrong. His head slowly lifted. His eyes were completely black. His mouth opened slightly. A deep, broken voice came out. "Mike, I told you not to open it." Then he smiled. And behind him in the dark hallway, dozens of shadowy figures started moving. All wearing the same construction uniform Daniel used in Saudi Arabia. Standing silently. Watching us. Not blinking. Not breathing. Just staring. And Daniel whispered something that froze my blood. They followed me home. Silence. Then every shadow in the hallway started walking toward us. The shadows in the hallway started moving. Not walking. Gliding. Like their feet were not touching the floor. My body froze. Daniel stepped inside the room. The smell of wet soil followed him. His clothes were the same construction uniform he wore in Riyadh. But they were torn. Covered with dark stains. His black eyes slowly moved across the room. Looking at every person. Like a predator choosing prey. My mother whispered weakly, "Daniel, my son." Daniel's head tilted slowly. His neck made a dry cracking sound. Then he smiled again. But it was not a human smile. Too wide. Too empty. "Mom, I told them not to open the coffin." His voice sounded broken. Like 2 voices speaking at the same time. One was Daniel. The other something deeper. Something cold. Behind him, the shadow workers entered the hallway light. There were at least 12 of them, all wearing the same dusty construction uniforms. Their faces were dark, completely black. No eyes, no mouth. Just empty darkness where their faces should be. The funeral director screamed and ran, but the door slammed shut by itself. The lights flickered again. Then one shadow moved forward. Its head slowly turned toward Daniel. Daniel whispered something in a language I did not understand. The shadows stopped moving. Waiting, watching, I slowly stepped forward. Daniel, what happened in Saudi? His black eyes locked onto mine. For a moment, I thought I saw fear in them. Then he whispered, the building was not empty. The room became silent. Terrifying silence. Daniel continued. They told us it was an old abandoned site, but we started hearing things inside the walls. Workers started disappearing one by one. My heart started beating faster. Then we found the basement. The shadows behind him slowly moved closer. Daniel's voice became weaker. There were hundreds of graves under the building. My blood turned cold. They were not human graves. Suddenly, one shadow stepped beside him. It leaned close to Daniel's ear. Daniel's body stiffened. Then he whispered the most terrifying thing I had ever heard. They buried us alive with them. Silence. Then every shadow in the hallway turned their head toward me. At the same time, my mind refused to believe what I was seeing. Daniel was dead. He had been dead for days. But he was standing in front of me, breathing, moving, talking. Yet something inside him felt wrong. Very wrong. The shadows filled the doorway now. More of them appeared in the hallway. Maybe 20. Maybe more. No one knew. They moved slowly, like a dark tide flowing into the room. The priest grabbed a cross. In the name of God. One shadow moved instantly. Too fast. The priest flew across the room like something had thrown him. He hit the wall and collapsed. The room erupted in screams. People pushed toward the back wall. My mother cried, Michael, what is happening? But I could not answer, because Daniel was staring directly at me. His black eyes slowly changed. For a second, I saw his real eyes inside them. Terrified. Trapped. Mike, he whispered, help me. Then his body jerked violently, like invisible hands were pulling him. His mouth opened wide. A deep voice came out. Not Daniel's voice. He belongs to us. The shadows moved closer. Their bodies stretched unnaturally, like smoke taking human shape. The temperature in the room dropped. Cold breath filled the air. Daniel started shaking. Mike, listen, they live under the building, inside the graves. They were the bodies of workers. My heart stopped. They use us to travel. Suddenly the lights exploded. Glass shattered. Complete darkness. Then something touched my shoulder. A cold hand. I turned slowly. One of the shadow workers stood inches from my face. Where its face should be, I saw something moving, like thousands of tiny hands inside the darkness. Then it whispered, you open the door. Across the room, Daniel screamed. A scream so loud, so painful it did not sound human anymore. Then he shouted one final sentence. The graves are opening in America now. Silence filled the room. Then every shadow turned toward the exit door, like they were ready to leave, ready to spread, ready to hunt. And Daniel collapsed to the floor, not moving, not breathing. Again, Daniel's body lay on the cold funeral home floor, not moving, not breathing. Again, my mother cried beside him. Daniel, wake up. But I knew something terrible had already happened. The shadow figures had disappeared. Just like that. The hallway was empty. No sound. No movement. Only the smell of wet soil remained in the air. The priest slowly stood up. His hands were shaking. What we saw was not human. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics checked Daniel. One of them looked confused. There is no pulse. The other one whispered something strange. But his body temperature is warm. I felt my stomach twist. Warm. Like someone who was alive. But Daniel was dead. Again. They took his body to St. Luke's Medical Center in San Antonio. That night, I could not sleep. Daniel's words kept repeating in my mind. They use us to travel. Around 3 a.m., my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered slowly. A weak voice whispered, Mike. It was Daniel. My heart almost stopped. Daniel, where are you? Static filled the call. Then he spoke again. They are inside the tunnels. What tunnels? Under the hospital. Cold fear ran through my body. Mike, they are waking up. The line went silent. Then a terrifying scream exploded through the phone. Not one scream. Dozens. Hundreds. All screaming at the same time. Then the call ended. I drove to the hospital immediately. The streets of San Antonio were empty. Dark. Quiet. Too quiet. When I arrived at the hospital parking lot, something felt wrong. Several police cars were outside, red lights flashing. Doctors were running. People were screaming. I grabbed a nurse. What happened? Her face was pale. The morgue. What about it? She whispered something that made my blood freeze. The bodies are gone. The hospital corridors felt like a nightmare. Dark, cold, endless. Police officers were everywhere. Doctors whispered in panic. I saw the hospital director arguing with a detective. This is impossible. 23 bodies don't just disappear. My chest tightened. 23. Daniel was one of them. I ran toward the morgue hallway. The air became colder with every step. Terrifying silence filled the corridor. The door to the morgue was open. Broken. Inside, chaos. Metal drawers were open. Empty. The detective noticed me. You can't be here. My brother was brought here tonight. The detective looked at his list. Name: Daniel Reyes. His face slowly changed. That body was here. He pointed to the floor. Deep, muddy footprints covered the tiles. Dozens of them, leading toward a maintenance door. The detective whispered. They walked out. A doctor nearby shook his head. Dead bodies don't walk. But I remembered Daniel's words. They use us to travel. The maintenance door creaked open slowly. Cold air rushed from the dark tunnel below. A hospital worker whispered. That tunnel connects to the old sewer system. The detective turned on his flashlight. We need to check this. 3 officers went down the stairs. Their lights disappeared into the darkness. Silence followed. 10 seconds passed. 20 seconds. Then a scream echoed from below. A blood-freezing scream. Gunshots exploded. Bang, bang, bang. Then silence again. Terrifying silence. The officers never came back. Everyone in the hallway froze. Suddenly something climbed the stairs slowly. Step, step, step. A police officer appeared in the doorway, but his body moved strangely, like a puppet. His head lifted. His eyes were completely black, just like Daniel's. Behind him, dozens of figures climbed out of the tunnel. Dead bodies, hospital gowns, construction uniforms. Their mouths opened at the same time, and a deep voice echoed through the hallway. We are not buried anymore. Then the lights went out, and the hospital filled with screams. The hospital went completely dark. Only emergency lights glowed faint red in the hallway. People were running, screaming. Doctors pushed patients into rooms and locked the doors. But it was already too late. The dead bodies were everywhere, walking, slowly, silently, like they were searching for something or someone. One of the doctors whispered in horror, "They are spreading." The detective grabbed my arm. "Stay behind me." But I was not looking at him. I was staring at one figure standing in the middle of the corridor. Daniel. He was standing there again, not moving. His black eyes slowly turned toward me. Mike. His voice sounded weak, almost human again. I stepped forward slowly. Daniel, fight it, you can fight them. His body started shaking. For a moment it looked like he was trying. His hands grabbed his own head. Then he screamed. A painful, broken scream. They are inside us. Suddenly the lights flickered. Images flashed across the hallway walls, like shadows showing memories. I saw something terrible. A massive construction site in Riyadh. Workers digging deep underground. Then they found something. A giant stone door, older than any building, covered with strange symbols. Daniel's voice echoed through the hallway. The graves were never human graves. The vision changed. The door opened. Darkness poured out. Not smoke. Not shadow. Something alive. Something ancient. Daniel whispered. They were sleeping under the earth for thousands of years. The shadows inside the hospital began to move violently, their bodies twisting, stretching. Daniel looked at me one last time. They cannot walk in our world without bodies. My heart dropped. OFW workers. Daniel nodded slowly. They use us to travel across countries. The detective, like they received a signal. Daniel grabbed my arm suddenly. His grip was ice cold. Mike listened carefully. His voice became desperate. There are thousands of graves under cities all over the world. My blood froze. Riyadh was only the first door. The shadows began walking toward the hospital exit. Hundreds of them. Doctors, workers, police officers, dead bodies moving together. Daniel slowly stepped backward. They are opening the doors now. Daniel, wait. But his body was already changing again. His eyes turned black. The deep voice returned. The world is open. The dead began walking outside. Into the city of San Antonio. Into the night. Sirens echoed in the distance. But the creatures did not stop. They were spreading. Street by street. City by city. Country by country. And as Daniel disappeared into the darkness, I realized something far worse. My phone started vibrating. A new voice message appeared. From Daniel. Sent 5 years ago. I slowly pressed play. His terrified voice whispered through the speaker. Mike, if you are hearing this, it means they reached America. Static filled the recording. Then his final words came. And they made my blood turn ice cold. Do not trust anyone who comes back from overseas. Silence. Because at that exact moment, the hospital behind me filled with footsteps again. More dead bodies were waking up. And this time, they were wearing American clothes. If you enjoyed this horror story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon for more terrifying stories.